All right, guys, I hate to say it, but I found another example of hedge funds just absolutely setting you up and absolutely trying to screw you and feed you a completely false narrative. I know, it's shocking, guys. What do you know? Another guy out there saying something that honestly it's not necessarily true or more or less fits his narrative, and I'll break all that down for you today, guys, to include what he owns, what he's doing, why he's doing it, why he's saying what he's saying, and all that sort of stuff. Because of course, you know, when he's being interviewed, the media does absolutely nothing to challenge anything he says, and more importantly, to kind of reveal to you the actual truth of why he's saying it. I just ask in exchange for you to gently tap that like button and consider subscribing too. It's super easy to do if you like the hype, and if you like me exposing guys like this, you know, let me know down in the comments down there, see if you like it or not. You know, if not, I don't have to do it anymore. But it seems like a lot of fun to kind of unwind these things and see exactly what they're trying to do. Don't forget the March Madness sale is going on right now. Check out the pinned comment down there. You get, 5 free courses, all my buy and sell alerts, watch lists complete with price targets, the best Discord out there, and a ton more. Not going to go over everything here. Just make sure you check out the pinned comment down there and see if it's right for you and see everything you get.
Right now, I want to bring in our next guest, Barry Sternlich, who is the chairman and CEO of Starwood Capital. Barry has been vocal for quite a while with us, talking about how he thinks the Fed should have stopped raising rates sooner. So, Barry, what's your reaction to the Fed's move yesterday?
All right, so just background on him, his fund, his, Starwood Capital, whatever it is, they own real estate, large commercial real estate. Think malls, office buildings, stuff like that. That's what his company owns there. So, right off the bat, why would he be upset about, the Fed raising rates and continuing to raise rates here? Why would he have any sort of angst with that? Why would he think that's bad? We need to control inflation. So why would he say something like that when he's involved in real estate? Well, to be honest and upfront with you guys, it's because real estate game, especially large commercial real estate like that, is based on debt. He has a ton of debt out there against all these, and I mean, we're talking guys who are not small. He owns malls, hotels, all kinds of huge commercial types. Oh, and by the way, he has a lot of these type of investments that he is renovating and doing a lot of other things to and such. So right off the bat there, of course, if you're involved in real estate, the interest rates going higher immediately hurt his business and cost him not a little bit of money. We're talking, hundreds of millions of dollars here in regards to interest that he's losing every time that maybe not hundreds of millions each time they raise the rate, but over the course of all the rate raises that we've had so far, it has cost him a lot of money to have those rates go up. And of course, values have obviously come down as well, which if you know anything about commercial real estate, that's vital to absolutely how you value your property and how you get more debt to continue moving your properties forward. So he has a very vested interest in those rates going down and staying down, more importantly. Now, again, you don't have any idea as to how he's leveraged and what the debts are out there, how long the notes are, and all that sort of stuff like that. But it's not like you and I, where he's just got them all on 30-year mortgages, all at 2%, and he can just ride the sucker out and go. Commercial real estate is much more complex than that. So that's his angle right off the bat. That's where his mind is. That's where his thought is before we ever get started here. So just trying to give you guys the background before he gets rolling here.
How much time we got? Look, I think Chairman Powell's in a really tough spot. You have a federal government that's spending money at a rate of $1.7 trillion. That was 1616 in 20 and 21. So you have the biggest customer of the whole economy, the federal government across the hill, spending money as fast as they can. And they're not actually changing their spending patterns based on his interest rate raises. So the only place he's going to impact is private enterprise. And while I thought my comments on not raising really reflected what I saw going on in the fixed asset markets like real estate, I didn't really look at what was happening and what they were doing and what the impact would be on the banking system. So I think that he obviously, I think he didn't need to do what he did yesterday. I think to say that the economy isn't going to slow down because of the regional banking crisis, and to even pretend that these banks are solvent, as he said. They're solvent when they can borrow $300 billion from the Fed overnight and borrow more money.
Oh, by the way, that applies to all banks. No bank could ever survive a bank run. I know we've talked about it before. So making that case against regional banks is stupid because it applies to all banks who, would require a Fed backstop, if I could talk, to actually avoid a complete meltdown and to actually not be insolvent there. So again, it's a useless point that doesn't make any sense. You can say that about the entire banking system. So what do we do? Not have a banking system anymore? Let the whole economy fail? Let the whole world currency fail? Let the entire world economy collapse? I mean, that's those are your alternatives there. So it's kind of a stupid point there again, trying to make a mountain out of a molehill when there's nothing there. That point's just silly.
Than they did in the 2007-2008 crisis, and it's all their fault. There are 400 PhDs at the Federal Reserve, 400. This weekend, me and two of my colleagues went through 6 regional banks, and if you had to mark them to market, they're all insolvent. Now, why are they insolvent? I heard Joe say.
Wow, congratulations. You looked at 6 regional banks who are all insolvent. Just for context there, guys, there's more than 18,000 regional banks. So one, I'm sure you cherry-picked your groups that you looked at there in regards to taking everything to market. And since I don't really think a data set of 6 out of 18,000 proves that regional banks are in trouble. It's just silliness. It's stupid. Again, obviously a lot of people won't know that, and they don't know how many regional banks are out there and such. But I'm sorry, pointing out that the Fed has 400 PhDs and they can't figure this out. But me and one other person, we sat down and we looked at 6 and we found 6 that were insolvent. What do you know? You're neglecting the fact that there's 18,000 of them out there and such. So again, it's just silliness. If we got 6 out of 18,000, is that what we're saying? I'm sorry, the banking system is strong. Overly strong at that stage. We should have a lot more than 6 that should be in trouble because there's just, banks aren't going to necessarily, and you got to remember in terms of those medium-sized banks, regional banks, there's going to be ones that played it, ugly. There's going to be some that have bad management teams, bad asset pools, are kind of skewed in a direction to where, hey, interest rates are hitting them far harder than they're going to hit other folks and such. So having 6 out of 18,000 or whatever the heck the number ended up being, is just, in terms of concerning, not that concerning. But, here he is right here trying to make a case that, wow, we found 6 that were ill. So therefore, the Federal Reserve is doing a terrible job. Just silliness at this stage.
About the missing risk officer. Actually, it was the rule book set up by the government. The government said that if you own 10-year fixed agencies, mortgage backs, or you own treasuries, it's 1/5 the capital requirement than if you went out and bought floating rate notes, senior secured floating rate notes. So you wound up with a situation, the banks were following the rules. They were following the rules and they did not have to mark those securities to market. We run the nation's largest mortgage REIT. We have $2 billion in securities. We're 90% rate hedged. It couldn't have happened to us, but because the banks face no consequences with the held to maturity category, they decide to save some money and not put any hedges in place. That's irresponsible, but it is the rule book that the OCC and the government, the Treasury, and the Fed oversaw, and they didn't even stress test these banks if rates rose.
That's more silliness right there. I had to stop it. I'm sorry. That's basically like saying, hey, the speed limit's 65, but some guy decided to drive blindfolded on the freeway and caused a bunch of wrecks. So it's clearly the fact that the speed limit just needed to be lowered in order to keep that guy from being an idiot. He even admitted it was a stupid move. Of course, this will go down in, MBA books later on as SVB specifically, as some of the dumbest moves that any bank could have ever made. And oh, by the way, we're talking about one bank out of 18,000 that was dumb enough to make this move. So what, the federal government needs to change the rule altogether because one bank was stupid enough and idiotic enough to do this? It doesn't make any sense. The speed limit on the freeways is not going from 65 down to 35 because one idiot got on the freeway and decided to drive blindfolded. I'm sorry, that's just not how it works. So again, just this guy wants rates to come down so bad because I guarantee you it is costing his business a lot of money that he's just willing to throw anything out there that kind of remotely makes sense or will get a headline or whatever the case is. And it's just silliness.
So they should have been the first ones to see what they were doing to the regional banks. And by raising interest rates.
Oh, yeah. And he mentioned stress testing the regional banks. The reason why is, one, they're under different regulation than the large banks that are stress tests. 2, stress tests are not easy in regards to coming in and doing it. And then also for the banks to actually be ready for these stress tests that have to happen. I can assure you a lot of these regional banks can't even afford to get ready for these stress tests in regards to trying to meet the government requirements and such to do it, 1. 2, if the government can only do stress tests on 8 large banks, how the heck are they going to have time to do it for the other 18,000 smaller banks? It just doesn't, regional banks. It doesn't make any sense. There's no way that they could actually enforce that and stress test all of them in that manner. It just, again, it's more silliness. It's out of context. And it's just a guy that's upset about the rate hikes and such.
Even yesterday, they're just increasing the losses in the regional banks, which means they still have to go and borrow additional capital from the Fed. So it's sort of like what he said was disingenuous, right? Yes, if you have an unlimited borrowing capacity from the federal government, you have a sound regional banking system. And the regional banking system is not small. I was actually surprised that it makes 70% of all commercial real estate loans. And it's the guy who wants to buy a tractor or the guy who wants to fix up that little shop on this corner. And it's going to be pretty hard for the JP Morgans, though I adore them, or the B of A's, who I also like, or the Goldman Sachs's, who don't really do that, but our national bank, to actually replace the system. And what the effect will be, or will accelerate what I talked about earlier.
So basically he's saying all the regional banks are going to fail. All the small banks and credit unions are all going to fail. And therefore JP Morgan will have to pick up the slack, and they just can't do it. So therefore, don't raise the rates and snuff out inflation, and don't do all the other things to fight inflation. Lower that rate so that way he can, keep his real estate business going, and just let all the banks, let inflation go wild. So that way we save the banks that I don't think 18,000 plus. I couldn't tell you how many small and credit unions there are out there and such. Just make sure that those things are going to fail, because they're clearly going to fail if he raises the rate anymore or anything else like that. It's just stupidity. It's just silliness at this stage in regards to what he's saying. So, and I'm pointing this out so that way, as you guys hear these guys talk, it makes sense to, hey, go look him up real fast, see what he's got, and then look through, hey, is the guy a short seller? Is he long? What type of stocks does he like to buy? In this case, this guy's pure real estate. So I looked at his portfolio. They posted on their website, and it was all large commercial assets that are probably getting extremely hammered right now, or it's costing him a lot of money, or it's going to cost him a lot of money on those debt loads as he moves forward and such. So right then and there, I kind of had my eye out for, okay, he's probably got other issues going on outside of just the fact that, oh my gosh, all the banks are going to fail because interest rates go, he raises a quarter point. That quarter point, made the difference. It's just silliness.
Which is that the crisis in real estate and in fixed assets is slow. And as loans mature, and you're seeing every day you'll hear about an office building going back to a bank, and that the Fed was also all over they were spending a lot of time.
And let's discuss why office buildings are going back to banks. Is it because of interest rates going up? Or is it because they don't have tenants? I hate to tell you this, buddy, but you own a lot of assets that a lot of folks I've heard in the banking industry are not looking to buy up as many office buildings, not looking to refinance as many office buildings as they used to, because the occupancy is much lower than it used to be as well. So why would you as a bank take on that risk? Look at malls. Look at how many of them are failing or are struggling because folks don't go to the mall nearly as much as they used to. I mean, I can remember when I was a kid back in the 80s, the mall was the place to be. Like everybody went to the mall, the moms, the kids, the dads, everybody, hung out at the mall. It was the place to be. It was the place to get all the stuff that you needed to buy all in one spot. That was back then. Nowadays, I can have it all delivered, right? And on top of that, the malls have issues with other things going on. It's just not as nearly as good of an asset as it was 20 years ago. Times have changed. And therefore, of course, you're going to see struggling in regards to refinancing large office buildings when a lot of folks work remotely now or part-time, part of their week is remote. All those sort of things like that we all thought were coming eventually. And I can promise you, back, even 5 years ago, it was a discussion that we were starting to have with clients and such that, hey, this is where everything's going in the future here and such. I thought more of a hybrid, not full-time at home and such. But obviously, when we shut down the entire world, that accelerated that process probably by a decade. And oh, by the way, everybody looking at this thing post, shutdown, hey, times have changed. There's no way you're ever going to need as many office buildings as you needed before, yet they continue to build more new office buildings and such. So I'm not saying they're not necessary. I'm not saying they're not needed, but there's absolutely some change in that industry and such. And it has zero to do with, the market or the interest rates going up as high as they would. It's contributing, absolutely. But there are far larger macro issues going on in that particular type of asset. That's why I don't own REITs that own office buildings and such. That's why I have no interest in getting involved with syndications and other investment vehicles like that that do that type of, real estate. I just don't, because I don't see a future in it. I see a future in other things like self-storage, apartment buildings, things like that. I'm okay with. I'm willing to invest there, but I'm not willing to invest in office buildings or malls or anything else like that. I don't have any interest, because I don't think in 20 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever that number is, I don't think we're going to have as many of them then as we do right now. Of course, things could change. I could be absolutely wrong. You're absolutely right. But that's my bet that I would be willing to make there and such. And unfortunately, he holds a lot of those assets. And remember, they are debt-based assets. That's how commercial real estate is played, guys. You don't pay off all your real estate assets in a commercial real estate space. That is just not how it works. You're constantly rolling that debt. So, and of course, when interest rates spike up as high as they have, he absolutely went from making a lot of money as these debts roll over to not making nearly as much money. And of course, you add in occupancy rate issues and other stuff like that. That's also further hitting their balance sheets and income statements and everything else. So he's struggling all the way around with this specifically, and trying to find ways to, kind of get people to rally to his cause to, tell the Fed to stop or whatever the case is. It's silliness.
On the systemic banks and telling them, do not increase your exposure to office buildings and real estate. I just wonder who on earth they think is going to refinance that office building on Park Avenue. And I think if you take that to its logical conclusion,
if it's a great office building on Park Avenue that is, fully leased out, there's going to be banks lined up there to take care of that and do that for them. So again, I don't know. Now he's just playing hypotheticals and not even being realistic with his hypotheticals.
Values will drop. It's a $3 trillion asset class, office buildings in the United States. It's not small. And it's a situation where they don't lend and other people can't lend. These buildings will go down. Cities and municipalities rely on real estate values to pay for all their services. Receipts go down, and you wind up in a really bad place, which you can see. You do not have to see the car hit the wall to know that it's going 8,000 miles an hour, and it will hit the wall.
All right, so that was the end of that one there. In regards to his last statement there, that real estate values go down, I don't know about you, but it is possible that they're overvalued. And what happens to any asset class, whether it be housing or stocks or any other asset class you invest in, they get overvalued, which means they're going to go down in value. How much? I don't know. I don't know that number. But to say that, oh, wow, real estate, commercial real estate's been strong for years, and now all of a sudden it's not as strong as it was before, and you're upset because, hey, my values are going down. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that hurts tax receipts in the short term and everything else. But if it's overvalued, it's overvalued. And I'm sorry, if your building is half occupied, and the way they value commercial real estate and such, it's the amount of money you're bringing in. There's kind of a formula to it, based much more on that than it is, the price of this building is the same as the price of the building next to it, similar square feet. It's not like housing like you and I go out there and buy. It's valued very, very differently and such. Hey, I hate to tell you, if you're not bringing in the income and you're not bringing in the clients and you're not filling out your buildings with tenants, it's worth less. Sorry, regardless of what interest rates are doing, it's worth less. So, those are all kind of dynamics that they're kind of seeing. And in terms of valuation and such, it's not just interest rates that are hurting the valuations. It's also the tenant pool and everything else coming in. So again, it's somebody on here screaming about problems, screaming about things that honestly, 90% of what he said was there was some truth and a lot of conjecture. And some of it was just straight up false or not relevant. I'm sorry, 6 out of 18,000 is not a good sample size. Doesn't tell me anything. It's useless. All it did was fit his narrative. He threw it out there. He knows 99% of the people aren't going to actually go look and see how many regional banks are actually out there, and move on with that. Also, I bet you most folks that watched that particular clip didn't even know what he actually invested in, what all his fund actually is comprised of. Obviously, he said real estate, but did they, do they understand that that's all that he owns and a type of assets he owns and such? I don't know. Maybe some did. Maybe some went and looked up. Maybe some didn't. I have no idea. But these are all things that I do. And again, I try not to watch these things often outside of just to help you guys out and to point out things like that. That's something you can do immediately is just go pull wherever the heck they're invested. Even the bulls, even the guys that are bullish on Tesla. Go pull it and see exactly what they're invested. Why are they bullish on Tesla? Oh man, their fund holds, 50% of Tesla. Well, that's a good reason to be bullish and try to give the, sunny side up case for Tesla. So, it kind of works both ways and such. So anyways, hopefully this all helped you guys out and I kind of helped point out something there and another strategy to use whenever you're viewing articles like this. Make sure you check out the pinned comment down there and jump all over the March Madness sale and get your spot, so that way you can absolutely do those same exact things, learn all those techniques, and be with a group of 6 and 7 figure investors all there to help you and support you through the entire thing, including me. I do live streams. You guys can jump into my DMs anytime you want. It's a lot of fun, guys. So make sure you check it out. It's the pinned comment down there. And click here if you want to see the 3 stocks that I'm currently buying right now. And click here to see my exact plan for this market right now. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.